everybody. This is Lori Cooch, and today I want to try something I've never done. I'm going to be using quite a few of our different mediums that we offer, and this is just an idea, and I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to find out together. So, Close to My Heart has these new slimline cards in envelopes. You get 20 of the cards in envelopes. They are $9.95. There will be links to everything I use in the description below. So you can just click on those if you want to purchase this. I'm going to be using the sentiment that's on December's stamp of the month, but you can use any sentiment that you choose because you can't purchase this stamp any longer. I'm also going to be using one of our new thin cuts. It's called a diagonal stripe slimline. It is $19.95, and you'll see how that works when we use it here in a minute. So I'm gonna move the envelope out of the way. Oh, that's not the envelope. Oh, I already moved the envelope. So I measured the card front here when you fold it in half. It's 3.5 by 8.5. So I've cut a piece of scrap cardstock to 3.5 by 8.5. And then I cut one a little larger, like 4 by 9, because that's the one I'm going to use with the die cut. And then of course I'm going to use the, okay, sorry about that. My husband walked in. But back to this, I'm going to be using our Tim Holtz Distress Oxide inks, and I'm going to be using a couple different ones. I'm just like making a heck of a mess over here off the camera that you can't see. I'm going to do on the bottom, well, I don't know, but I'm going to use Chipped Sapphire and Peacock Feathers, I know, and I'm going to use Seedless Preserves and Picked Raspberry, and then I think on the top, because I'm going to use a stencil, that I'm going to use maybe some spiced marmalade. So, oh, in this case, if you want this case, I purchased it from scrapbook.com. It is a Tim Holtz case, and I will put a link to this in the comment below as well. And I printed these labels right off of the Tim Holtz website, and then just ran them through my Xyron and cut them with a 12-inch trimmer to put on the sides of my things. Okay, so because we are using distress inks, we need our all-purpose matte because it will all just wipe right off. And I'm gonna go for some contrast. So on the piece that's going to match my card front, my 8.5 by 3.5, I'm going to use the Seedless Preserves and the Picked Raspberries. Now what I do is I just put a piece of Velcro on the back, and then my pads just stick right to them. You saw that they fit in the case. And then I have my blending tool that fits right on there. So I'm going to start with the Seedless Preserves, and I'm just going to put some on there. Now the majority of this is going to be covered, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to be blending it all in with the Picked Raspberry anyway. I hope this turns out. In my brain, it's super cute. So let's see if it turns out super cute. And I'm using this all-purpose mat because it will, all this ink will just wipe up off of it when I'm done. And I'm just blending this in together so we have sort of a texture-y feel. Like I said, most of this is going to be covered anyway, but we need the pop of color behind. So I want to add in, some more of the seedless preserves. Don't want perfect circles, but I don't want just streaks either. And then once I get this, and you can just keep layering, layering, layering until it gets to the darkness you want. I think that's going to work for me. You take, put these away. You take some water, a little spritz of water, and it gives it the distressed look. And I'm going to hit it with the heat tool that my husband unplugged. You'll see it starts to oxide while I plug this in. Hold on. My husband took my power strip, and so now he unplugged it, so I had to plug it back in. I'm just gonna dry it. Oh, it's still not working. Interesting. Probably didn't turn it on. Success. So I'm just gonna hit it with the heat to dry it. And then I'm gonna set this aside. It's done. Find my rag. Keep a spare rag. And now the piece that I cut for the thin cut, I'm going to do in peacock feathers and chipped sapphire. Ooh. Again, just random putting it on here. And then I'm going to use the chipped sapphire. I love how these just blend in like they were printed this way. You can do more than 2 colors if you want. I'm just choosing to do 2 on each piece. I mean, obviously we're using more than 2. Okay, so that looks good. And now what's cool about the Distress Oxides is you can layer, and that's what we're going to end up doing with the Spice Marmalade. But first I want to distress this. Okay, now we also have, and I didn't show you this before, these stencil packs, and I don't know if you can see this one. This is from stencil pack number 3, and it has this one, and then it has these hearts, and then it has this mandala, which could be very pretty. Should we do part of a mandala? Or should we do these flowers? I think we're going to do the mandala. So I just need to put this where I want it, and I'm going to, I think, like so. We're not going to see the whole mandala because once I cut it with the thin cut, it's going to cut off a good portion of that. And I have lost, there they are. I keep just a roll of washi tape here on my workspace because I use it for stuff like this. So I'm going to tape my stencil to my mat so that it doesn't move. Because you want your mandala or whatever design you're using to come out smooth. And now, you know what? I may not use the die. Decisions. So I think I've got this down pretty good. So now I'm going to take the Distress Oxide in the Spiced Marmalade, and I'm just going to go over it. And what this is going to do is it's going to put my stencil, there's a piece that didn't pop out of the stencil because it's brand new. Watch for that. Here's another one. I should have checked these. Shoot. There. Come on. Okay, I think that's it. Go over all of this with the Spiced Marmalade. So we're going to get this stencil design, and there is 2 more pieces right here that I will come back and pop out. So check that before you use your stencil. Make sure all of your little plastic pieces have popped. There's another one. So now I'm going to come back in here and pop these out very carefully. And I got a hair on here. That's what happens when you have long hair. And I thought there was another one. Oh well. So now I need to come back over. Okay, now I'm going to just gently lift my stencil off to make sure I like the effect that I have. Look at that, you guys, how exciting. Okay, I really like that. I'm gonna set that aside for a second because I need to wipe off my stencil. I've got washi everywhere. I will take I might use some water. I will take this into my kitchen, and I see another one that didn't pop out, but that's okay. I will take this to my kitchen when we're done here, and clean it in my sink. But for now, so see, I'm looking at this here, and I'm seeing a bunch of these that weren't popped out, but I can't really see them on the design because they may not have been on my design. So check those before. Live and learn. First time using these. Just kind of get them out now so it doesn't happen to me again in the future. And if you have like a little Cricut tool, that seems to be working really well. Okay, I think that's it. So I don't know if I want to cut this or not now. So if I cut it, it's gonna put these stripes through my design, and I don't think I want to do that. Do you? I don't think I do. So what I'm going to do instead is just stamp my sentiment. And first I need to cut this down to size, because remember, our card front is 3.5 by 8.5, and I made this bigger because I thought I was going to do it with the die. I want to go this way. Three and a half. Oh, but now my pink's not going to show. So we may end up making 2 cards, because if I put this on the card front, see, I don't think things through. Okay, so we're going to do 2 different cards, but I'm going to stamp on this. Cut it a little short, that's okay. So the stamp I'm going to use is Be Your Own Kind of Beautiful. And I'm going to kind of offset it a little bit where it says Be Your Own Kind of, and then Beautiful off to the side. And I'm going to pick it up together, season it, and then I'm going to use black ink. I told you I was doing this on the fly, so we're going to make 2 cards because I did two things. And see, I am a messy stamper, so that's another reason to always have a rag, because I don't want those ink marks on my card front. Shoot. Okay. And I'm going to just stamp that towards the bottom corner. my stamp chamois went. So I think that turned out super cute. And so when we put it on the card front, super easy and quick. I got some stragglers. I need a new blade. It seems in my cutter. And I'm trying not to touch where I stamped because it looks really wet. So there is this. I like the stencil effect. I do. Okay, so that is that one. I did cut it a little short, so I'm probably going to come in and trim this card a smidgen. No one will ever know. But now I have this one. What to do with this one? I know we want to use this die, but what do we put over the top of it? Or maybe what do we put behind it? Because if we cut this like so, no, I need to put something over the top of it. What would be a good color to go on top of that? All me crazy. But I'm thinking wisteria. What do you think of wisteria? Oh, I think that side. So I'm going to cut this a little larger. Then the die. I don't know. I think we're going to cut this. I want more of this. So I think I'm going to cut this. I'm still going to get that stitched look if I tape it down and hold it in place. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to just use this. So I've got it lined up, and I'm going to just use my washi. And I want it to stay this, because here's why. I cut this the exact same size as the die, and I don't want it to move at all as I'm running it through. So washi is good for this. It'll come off with no problems. And I need this. And my big shot. I'm just going to run it back through. And now keep in mind, I did cut that piece of wisteria bigger, thinking I was going to run it through the die, so I'm going to have to go back and cut that to the correct size. But that's not a problem. So it cuts everything. These come in handy all the time in scrapbooking. So now that I've got all the little pieces, not all of them yet, but that's okay. I'm going to, see how I stuck that in there? It'll peel this right off. And allow me to remove it from the die. And I'm being careful because I don't want to tear any of the little channels. So there's more of them that didn't come all the way through. So I'm just removing those so they won't be messing up my die the next time I use it. And now I'm going to come back and I'm going to cut this to the correct size, a 3.5 by 8.5. I am clearly cutting impaired because that is a heck of a lot smaller, but it doesn't show, so it's fine. And this is bigger, so I don't know what is wrong with me today. Okay. So now I'm going to take some liquid glass and stick it around the edges. I'm just leaving that washi on there. It's not hurting anything a bit. And I don't need to get it everywhere, but I do want to hold these lines down some. So that's why I'm using the liquid glass, because it's easy to just get super thin little bead of them in there. So what I do with this to keep it flowing is I clean the tip off every time, and then you just get all the liquid glass out of it before you put the pin back in it. And I'm got really bad eyes, so that's not always easy for me. I'm going to put this on here. So what I was originally thinking is, where'd that other one go? Is that I would have cut this, you know, stenciled it, and then cut this with the die, but I think it would have gotten rid of all of the mandala piece. So that's why I didn't do that, and I don't know where all my shimmer brushes went, but I have some here. So I have a clear one. I'm just going to come in here and add a little bit of sparkle into the wisteria pieces. with our clear shimmer brush. And I'm not being 100% careful to not get it on the Distress Oxide pieces. It just makes that wisteria not quite so plain. And I need to think of what sentiment I want to stamp on here. So, can you see the glittery effect that that did? I'm not going to stamp direct onto here. I am going to stamp onto a leftover piece of wisteria. And I don't think I want it that big. Okay, here is a dry stamp chamois. Yeah, that's nice. Not totally dry, so it will work. So what I'm going to do is, didn't work perfect, but close enough. I'm going to cut this at about 2 inches. So this has worked out to be like 2 by 3 3/4. Scrap paper, guys. Use it all the time. And then I'm going to dovetail it a smidgen on both ends. So we just have a small little dovetail. I don't like the way that looks one bit, so we're not going to use it. Actually, I like this piece. It's smaller, so I will dovetail this piece. We are crafting on the fly. If you don't like something, don't use it, because then you will never like your project. And I want to find my wisteria ink. I do have some, bear with me. Oh, goodness. If my craft room was any less organized, it would be a sin. Okay, so here's wisteria ink. And I'm just going to take one of these ink pads and ink up the edges of it. So I'm doing it on the light side, because you know our cardstock is double-sided. There's a light and a dark. If you don't have these, I know some people who just run their paper into the ink on like this. I'm not very talented at doing it that way. Okay. And now I am going to change up our stamp. I mean, I'm going to still use the same words. Oh, this is what I'm looking for. I'm just going to change the way it is laid out because I want it to fit on my dovetail piece. So I think this will do it, but it might be too big. And it is too big. So I'm going to turn it over because I don't care if I get, see, that's not going to work because my whole sentiment isn't going to work on there. So what else do we got? On this one, you know, I'm just going to use Beautiful. Why not? And I'm going to stamp it in that wisteria. Because I'm doing it on the lighter side, the darker ink is going to show up. And if you're not sure, you can test it. I'm sure you have, like I have that scrap piece that I threw away that I didn't like, so we can see what it's going to look like. And it's going to look really good. So I'm going to re-ink it up. Ta-da! And just for a little bit more effect, I'm going to use some puffy tape, and these are just left over from using the shaker dies. So you get these little sheets of puffy tape, and how they work is, see, around the edge, that was what went around the shaker die, and then you have these cut pieces inside. So I use these all the time. They're pre-cut. I don't have to worry about it. And a little one in the center. I'm going to put it off to the side. So I know I have been, I told you guys I was going to be doing videos every week, and I've been absent from doing that since right after Thanksgiving. I need to apologize for that. We've had, well, not only the holidays, but we've been doing some traveling. We have a family member who's not well, and so we've been traveling to visit them, and I just haven't had the time. So I am back, and I will be doing my best to get you these weekly videos, and they will be more organized than what they are today, I promise. So now I'm going to just get my hair out of it. If you didn't know, these slimline cards are the new rage. So there you go. There are the two cards that we made today using the slimline cards, the Distress Oxide inks, and the slimline die. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on any of my socials. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, which is where you're watching this, duh. And Pinterest. I'm mostly on Instagram and Facebook, but I will put links to all of those places where you can contact me if you have any questions, along with links to all of these products if you wish to order them. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.